Welcome to Empire Rugby League. This is Coaching from the Couch with Bear and Wombat. And Wombat, you've done a little bit of digging yourself and you've come up with the Badger. Badger, how are you?
I'm fantastic, boys. How are we?
Yeah,
Not too bad.
Didn't we?
Yeah. Oh, well, mate, that's your domain.
Just hoping the Badger didn't listen to a couple episodes ago when I talked a little bit back about him, but we're both on the Maroons this week, so we'll be fine.
Yeah, we're friends this week.
Friends this week? All right, beautiful. Anyway, boys, we'll crack right into it. NRL Round 18 review. You know what? We'll go in order this time, Wombat.
We seem to jumble it up each week.
We've mixed it up, but let's kick off with the Broncos 22 over the Bulldogs 18, and this was 18-0 for 60 minutes.
Yeah, it was, and a lot of people genuinely built this up as a rematch between earlier in the year, where the Broncos got over the Dogs in the wet.
Yeah, like pouring rain, absolutely ordinary conditions, and we've already established that after that, and I think the Finns flogging, the Dogs can't play in the rain.
Yeah, and the Bunnies game that was postponed as well.
That Lightning game, yes.
So, Dogs came out firing, but one thing that let the Dogs down is where they implement Lockie Galvin into the side and then they put Sexton to dummy half and Marnie comes off, that's where it falls. It falls through for them.
I mean, we're not going to harp on about this. We've already had our say about Galvin, and the poor kid's absolutely doing the rounds in the media, in the legitimate media at the moment, so we're going to leave him alone. But I do agree, that is an issue moving forward. How Serrato handles it will pretty much determine their final series, I think. Badger?
Yeah, I think, we've seen good stuff from the Bulldogs at the start of the season. We've started to see them a little bit down, a little bit slipping over the past few weeks. And yeah, like you said, 60 minutes of good footy from them just to fall apart in the last 20. It's a bit disappointing, but the Broncos also did turn it up. Like, we can't give the raps to the Bulldogs defense falling apart. It was the Broncos actually deciding to start turn up.
Absolutely, and it coincided with this bloke coming onto the field. And I know he's not the most popular player going around, but is it time to give Billy Walters his flowers?
I think it would be.
I don't know. We've seen him in 9, we've seen him in 14. He's been popped around this season a little bit. Obviously, there was a bit of that,
where's he going to play with?
Looking for the word. Like, where's he going to play after sort of Kevy left, right?
Yeah.
And now that we've seen him perform this year, he's come on. He's actually shown his steps. He's shown that he's actually a player. He's not just a coach's son. And I never said he was. Never thought he was. But he is definitely putting it on this year.
And another one in the Broncos side of it, Xavier Willison definitely. He brought physicality to that
didn't
game.
Zavs have a game?
I tell you what, they've found a Payne Haas clone there.
Yeah, and I think that's they've trialled it a few times with bringing Haas off and then Willison goes on. But
and it sort of didn't work.
No, because he gets the very limited minutes. Yeah. Haas gets 60, but then Willison only gets 20.
Yeah, I think if you give Zavs that short stint out there, he sort of doesn't play to his potential. And he's such a diverse player as where he can play in the second row, he can play in the forwards, give him a bit of experience, you can put him in that 13. Like, obviously he's not going anywhere while Paddy's there, but he's just such a diverse player and he's such a strong player. We're going to see big things from this kid in a few years.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how they line up this week.
In this game, he definitely looked like a very junior Payne Haas in a way where he just went, nah, this is where I need to be. He needs to be in that starting side.
Actually, just before we move on from this one, boys, there is one more young fella out of that Broncos side that you've actually been a fan of for a little while.
Is that Ben Tulsey?
No. I mean, that is a great story. And if you actually... it's somewhere on socials.
2 episodes ago as well.
Yeah,
we spoke about him.
Okay, we'll go Ben Tulty. But Ben Tulty, if you actually go, whoever's out there, go scrolling through socials. Joey Johns actually went into the sheds and found him. Now, Ben Tulty is a ex-Newcastle junior, moved around a fair bit to get a crack, blah, blah, blah. So Joey had that, I suppose, that rapport with him. But his post-match interview in the sheds will make anybody cry. That is what NRL is about. But back to the young fellow that I think you've harped on a lot, Brendan Piakora.
Yeah.
I tell you what, God, he ran some nice lines.
Yeah, look, start of the season, I was a bit iffy on him, hey?
I'm with you.
He was not playing up. He was not playing at an NRL level. I thought we're going to see this bloke go out of the NRL for a little bit and get a bit of training and stuff.
Yeah.
But mate, he has come back and he has definitely proven that he's NRL product.
100%. So we're giving flowers to Billy Walters because he changes that team when he comes on the field from 14. Quite possibly in the top 5 14s of the game at the moment.
Yeah, Billy Walters, he is a great 9, but he's a better 14.
100%. But if we're going to give Billy his flowers, we've got to give Madge his as well.
Oh, absolutely.
He's definitely found where Billy fits into that side.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, boys, we've got to move on. We'll be here all night. Raiders 28 over the Dragons 24 down in Canberra. I tell you what, I know it's another Canberra win. I know they're quickly becoming my favourite team to watch. But mate, they're not beating the teams that they should be beating by the margins they should be beating them by. Last week against Newcastle, I believe, I tell you what, they scraped home. This week, they've scraped home again.
Yeah, they're looking a bit sketchy at the moment. Like, they are putting the wins on. They're getting the 2 points, but man, for the Dragons to put 28 points on what is the informed team of the NRL, if you're looking at the ladder.
Yeah.
And for, KO Wicks to go through for 3 for a hat trick and actually get them up there.
But those 3 tries were crucial timings, weren't they?
Absolutely.
They were crucially timed.
That's what I
mean.
mean.
They were awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, those KO Wicks tries saved the Raiders. The Raiders should not have needed saving in that game. This should have been a Raiders dominant victory. And the Dragons
100%.
have come out and put 24 in them.
One thing that was prominent is Tarpany definitely needed Big Papa's help. That role on that they seemed to have at the start of the game, they didn't seem to have that against the Dragons. So I know the Dragons have got players injured and whatnot. Like their injury cloud is filling
huge. The Dragons' injury ward is probably longer than their available player list at the moment. It's absolutely insane. But look, we are being a bit harsh on the Raiders. They've only had one bye this year so far.
Yeah.
And they played the first 14 rounds on the trot. And they went from Vegas to Canberra to Townsville to New Zealand to Perth. No, they didn't come to Perth. They have been everywhere.
They've been on the buses. They've been on the planes.
Yeah.
They had a very tough start of the year, and they've definitely shown up and shown out that they can perform.
I think this is where fatigue is really starting to play on.
Yeah, to give them a little bit of slack here, sure, but like I said before, the Dragons put 24 on you. They probably would have copped something at training from that.
Yeah, look, possibly. But
it seems like
I think Ricky, I don't know what it is, but Ricky and the Raiders have established this way of building their side where they have not signed a genuine name player for maybe 2 years. What they've done is they've gone and taken the best under-19s players. I think if you go back from the last under-19s that was Origin that was played a few weeks ago, I think 5 of those players are in the current Raiders system. So Canberra have gone, well, we're not going to attract the big names on big money. Let's go get the next thing coming through and build them into our system. And it's showing.
It's working. It's definitely working. And Ricky's, he knows something.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the brain on him. And
Ricky ain't silly.
You can see the connection sort of between coach and player with Ricky. Ricky cares as much about his boys as anything else. He cares more about his boys than he does about winning a grand final.
100%.
And it's that sort of culture, bringing young kids into that sort of culture, into that development through that club, is what's going to produce the products that we're seeing from the Raiders.
Well, it showed when, I'm not sure if it was it was the week before, after the Knights win, I think it was. He brought into the press conference, it's usually only coach and captain, but he brought Big Papa in because he thought everyone needed to know that Big Papa has missed the birth of his child for this game and this day. And it's that sort of stuff that is absolutely phenomenal and why Ricky Stewart belongs in Canberra.
Yeah, and this is why we've seen Canberra come up so far since
100%.
Ricky taken over. It's just because he builds that culture around the
I'll
club.
just add one last thing to that, and it's something we touched on, Bear, is that over the last few weeks, if you notice, the Raiders seem to have one player that stands up each week.
Well, this week it was
This
KO,
week it was
wasn't it?
KO. Week before, I think it was Sasangi. The week before that, I'm pretty sure it was Strange because he just turned it on with Papa at his record-breaking game.
300th, 319th or whatever it was.
But it seems like they're in a bit of a point where the Warriors were, where they were just scraping through the wins of the games, before they fell off. But I know the Raiders have got buys coming up.
Oh, they've got buys coming up, and you've got Hudson Young to return, who was rested the week before, now out with Origin. Be interesting if Ricky rests him again after Origin. Most likely will. There's not really any harm in it. You got Big Papa coming.
Back.
Like, look, there's still things coming back for Canberra, but at the end of the day,
they do have a bye this week as well.
There you go. So
Yeah,
I'd expect Canberra to start putting some bigger scores on.
I think the buys are well timed. I think they put in the hard effort at the start of the year, and the buys are really well timed for this Canberra team. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them in the grand final, to be honest with you.
Oh, I think they got the minor premiership rocked up, and a GF would be well deserved. But we have to move on to probably another favourite for the GF. Melbourne Storm 26 over a very, very brave Cowboys 20. Look, I'm just going to throw straight to Wombat here, being the resident Storm man.
I won't lie. This the scoreline definitely shown the junior Storm system at play here. So, I think it was the captain's run. Ryan Pappenhausen goes down with calf tightness.
Yep.
So, Nick Meaney shifts to fullback, which is his known position where he played at the Dogs
and Newcastle
as well, and he absolutely brained it. But
didn't he turn one on?
Yeah, 240 plus run meters. I'm pretty sure it was. Like he was everywhere.
A couple of tries.
But if you look at their side, their side is full of star-studded fullbacks that have just fit in where they needed to.
Look, I'm putting it out right now. Like, we're not a fantasy podcast, but I'm just going to say...
you heard... No, I was going to bring it up, Badger.
Dropped Nick Meaney last week because he's been underperforming. He's been in the 20s, and then the man comes out and do this. I had faith in him for so long, and as soon as I drop him, he puts it on me and just shows me that I should have held on to him. But, didn't he have a game, boys? Didn't Nick have an absolute game? And it's good to see him out there performing how he has been.
100%.
So, leading up to it as well with the captain's run, obviously a big shuffle of changes. Grant Essen moves from a wing to a centre position, which actually opens up to... I butchered his name a few times, but I think I got it now. Tui Malatu Brown. So...
Oh, yeah.
He is the 6th Victorian, and he absolutely brained it for a debut game. Honestly, he brained it.
He belongs.
He definitely does. And another change, and I'm so glad to see this kid back in a first grade side, and that's Jonah Pezzett.
Oh, yeah. Well, we got a bit excited last week when we saw his name at 14, so...
Jonah Pezzett is... For context, he's now... Storm made a YouTube video. Highly recommend check it out. It brought a tear to my eye. He's actually done 2 back-to-back knee reconstructions to actually get to where he is again. But there's also 2 other young blokes which we absolutely love them. Lazarus Vailepu and Lissati, who is just tearaways. They're tearaway front rowers.
Can I be harsh on one of these kids?
Is this Vailepu?
Yeah, I don't think he was there this week, but I tell you what, young Lissati. Yeah. I tell you what, he is a huge kid.
Yeah. He's
He's
human.
a big
Oh
boy,
my god!
Big human.
I'm not tackling that.
But yeah, with like another one, which obviously we had two debutants in this game, which over on the Cowboys side was Temple Kalepo, who's number 14 for the Cowboys.
Unfortunately, went off with a HIA.
He did, but the time he was on, I think. I know Cowboys have just signed
Reed Marnie.
They've just signed Reed Marnie.
Yep.
But I think they found where their number 14 is going to fit in next year.
Yeah, young Temple was mate. He looked very sharp out of dummy half.
He
a little bit of service, maybe slightly work.
But I think that comes with the being a freshie in the
first.
Service comes with experience, and coming out of development programs obviously is quite a step down from the NRL, right? It's not as fast. You're not getting boys running onto the ball as hard. So I think after a few games of experience in the NRL, that service will definitely increase, definitely get better, because he will be able to predict where the players are a bit better.
Yeah.
If service is the only issue, we're going to see an absolute rip-in from this.
We'll put it this way: if I'm Todd Payton, I know I didn't walk away with 2 points, but I am nowhere near disappointed in my team's performance.
Nah.
100%. Yes, there are areas that need attention, but as an overall 80 minutes. I'm actually happy. I'm okay. I'm not happy. I'm okay if I'm Todd Payton.
Yeah, you're not getting a spray in the change room.
Absolutely not. No, I don't think so. But
but Craig Bellamy is definitely giving them a spray.
is he though? Like no Munster, no.
It's just
no
Craig
Harry. Yeah.
Well, Cranky Craig, we see him on the outside, we see him up in the box, but I don't really think that's the person he is.
100%.
You can't build a team and you can't build a culture the way that the Melbourne Storm have around a person who is what we see on the outside and what we see in the coaching box. So,
It goes back, that doco, that Melbourne, the Craig Bellamy doco, that is...
On Stan, I believe.
Yeah.
Go check it out if you haven't. But, boys, we've got to move on. Otherwise, we'll talk about the Melbourne Storm for hours.
I think we just spruik a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, we move on to probably the upset of the round. Well, it was for the bookies. Because I think the Tigers were paying close to $5 head-to-head here. But Tigers 30 over the Roosters 28. And to be honest, boys, the Tigers came out in that first half and blew the Roosters off the park. That was easily, in my opinion, the best 40 minutes of the West Tigers we've seen in 2025.
Yeah, talk about getting a spray in the change rooms. You wouldn't want to be on the Roosters, hey?
I think Robbo let one fly.
Yeah, as much as the Tigers did come out and put it to the Roosters, there was still those lapses that we saw, especially in defence, edges and wings.
Drop ball as well.
A lot of errors. And the Roosters just didn't play to their potential, in my opinion.
But look, I'm going to back you up there, because if you have a look at Daniel Tupou's first try, that was Savala, chip kick into the in-goal, back year experienced winger to take it and put it down. Now, we saw that happen, carbon copy back-to-back tries for that, and I can't remember who it was off, but it was about a month ago. Savala kicking for Tupou, and then the next time they were down there, it was Savala kicking for Tupou.
Yeah, an exact carbon copy.
It
looked like
identical.
A replay.
Yeah. Why did we not see more of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, yes, Savala and Smith are still young, learning, developing halves. But if that was the game plan, they spent enough time in the Tigers 20 for that to come off at least 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. And I think we have given raps to the Roosters a couple of times, playing with a very young team. We understand that. We expect these lapses. But I think they've been around long enough and with their team long enough, especially with the halves, Savala and Smith, to develop that trust between their halves, their wingers, their edges, the block plays, the front door, back doors, things like that, to pull these sort of things off. And they just didn't execute what they have been for the previous, 15, 16 rounds of the season.
Yeah, 100%. Well, everyone's going to jump up and say, but the Roosters are missing 5 Origin players in Collins, Watson. No, there was no Radley either. He's concussion standing down.
Lenu.
Spencer Lenu wasn't there. So, yes, the Roosters were missing an absolute wealth of experience. But the Tigers didn't have Appy. They didn't have Luai. Obviously didn't have young Talon De Silva, who moved on earlier in the week.
No Jareen Buller either.
No Jareen Buller out the back.
Yep.
So, I mean...
If you go back a few weeks, the Roosters were undergunned... was it the first Origin?
The first Origin up in Gosford.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
They blew Penrith off the park.
Yeah.
Exactly what I was about to say. We've seen them perform without their Origin sides before. For some reason this week, they just didn't do it.
I will say, though, for the Tigers, Latu Fanu absolutely killed. And I know Bear's sitting over there smirking because he called it from the start of the year. But I got to say, seeing that dude from the start to the finish play 7...
He is the 7.
He has to be 7 for the Tigers to make a run.
100%.
They have to be.
But I'll see your Latu Fainu comment, and I'll raise you, and then I'll double raise you. All three brothers
first time
crossing the stripe.
So random stats guy did his digging, and it's the first time that a trio of brothers has ever scored in an NRL era.
Because before that was the Mortimer boys back in 89?
I think it was.
88? Something like that. I don't know.
But, so first time in the NRL era that has happened.
Nah, look, I mean, we all, our little group chat went off. I think we went, come on, surely that's a record. And look, there was enough footy nerds in our group chat to pick up the Mortimer boys. But
boys, we talk enough about him, but I'm still going to put him out there. Big Marky Mark.
Oh,
I love that man. And I'm kind of scared if he keeps performing, we're going to start seeing some of the rugby union boys go, oh, league's not that hard. Look at Marky Mark go.
Yeah, they can come over, but they're not walking into a first grade spot because Mark didn't either.
Speaking of union, they're trying to get him back.
Yeah, I have heard that they are trying to get him back for the World Cup. Look,
Roosters, Uncle Nick, sign him up, lock him in long term.
I love Mark. I love watching him play. He's a freak with the football, and honestly,
well, he kept him in it, didn't he?
Yeah, honestly, it's my highlight to watching the Roosters every week. I'm not a Rooster supporter, but I watch the game to see what he will do freaky with that football that
I want to make an early call about this. I've got Mark Nawaqanitawase as Rookie of the Year.
And Wombat has been practicing that last name.
Oh, fuck yeah. Absolutely I have.
How could you not, though? Like, yes, we do have some very promising rookies coming through this year. There are some boys that have come through in their rookie year and played at an exceptional level. But he's got try of the year. We can all agree.
Try of the year. I think he's locked in.
The things that he's been doing with the footy this year is ridiculous, and it's great to see.
Put it this way. We love watching him. I think he'd be a pain in the ass to coach.
Because he just do what he wants.
But you want him to do whatever he wants, but there's that 50-50 chance that it's going to be something absolutely spectacular and mind-blowing, but then there's that other 50% that you go, this is going to be a handling error.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
But that's Robbo's problem, and I think, again, Robbo is coaching his socks off. I think he's having fun coaching kids instead of just the old boys.
Yeah, he's not getting that lashback from experience, and I think he's getting that time and willingness for the kids to learn.
And look what it's done.
He's able to impart, his knowledge and experience on those people, and then, taking, like, Teddy is the experienced player, right? But having those kids coming through as a star is taking the pressure off him and freeing him up and just allowing Tedesco to play his game.
Put it this way. The Roosters used to have a brilliant fullback that was nicknamed after a Sesame Street character who just happened to be a vampire. So Anthony Minicello was the Count. Can we call Teddy the vampire? Because he's stealing the youth out of these kids and performing like he's 20 again.
Look, I was a bit worried about Teddy the last couple of years because we did start to see that decline. Not in his performance, but he was showing his age. He was slowing down. He wasn't playing to what we've seen the star James Tedesco play to. But this year he's come back with a force, hasn't he?
So Dally M for
attention?
Teddy.
Oh mate, I'd put money on it.
I nearly would. Because anyway. We're getting the look from the corner again, boys. We got to roll on. Manly 30 over the Rabbitohs 12, and
this was our flip of a coin game.
No, this was our snooze game. We knew this was going to be a rubbish game, and to be honest,
it was.
It wasn't great, and to be honest, the bunnies weren't great. Now, to me, it looked like they didn't train all week. It looked like nobody knew who was anybody else. It's harsh, but I tell you what, go back and watch the game, and that's what it looked like. But I do have a possibility of why that may have happened, boys.
Go on then.
My theory is Jack Whiten into 6. Excellent move. That's where he belongs. Jack Whiten is a 6. He's a great centre at rep level when you can't fit him in at 6. But Jack Whiten at 6 for the first probably half hour of the game was too dominant. If he had just let Humphries control the game and Jackie Boy just come in and do Jackie Boy things, I think there's a different Rabbitohs performance on the line. I just think and this is not a slight on Jack Whiten. I think, honestly, it was just him going, all right, everybody else is out. There's no Latrell, no Cody, no this, no that. No, I'll put the team on back and I'll do it forward. And you've got to admire that because for years he did that at Canberra and it worked. I just don't think the Bunnies is the right team to be doing that.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit like, I don't want to push back on the podcast, but, a little bit what we've just been saying about the Roosters and Teddy playing with his youthful team. I think it's the opposite of what we're seeing there. I think there's not a lot of trust from an experienced player in his youthful half. Jamie's a young bloke.
Yeah.
He's just come in. and I don't think there's enough trust from Jack onto Jamie to play in the half. Even though, we've seen his performances before his injury. He's playing incredibly. But, I think there just needs to be a little bit more trust on his half and pushing forward from that.
But we'll throw it to Wombat because we all know what Wombat likes to pick out of a game is the number 9. Yeah. What do you see here?
The block of cheese. He made his return. Look, love seeing him in and acknowledge that he's out for another 6 to 8 weeks with another MCL injury to the same knee.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah. But honestly, he had a solid return. It wasn't star-studded or spectacular, but he was solid.
His first, what was it, 20 odd?
Yeah, about 20 odd, and then he came off, then he went back on again. But his first stint was solid.
I think his second stint where he came back on at 13 or in that ball-playing middle role, that is what got South going.
Yeah, it did. But and I know Sweeney's gonna laugh at this, but I got to give raps to Tallis Duncan. Filling in at centre in the last second, but also getting a double again.
Yeah.
He filled in where he needed to be, but I think the positional changes, I think that's what hurt them.
Yeah.
I really do think.
And again, that's nobody's fault. I mean, when you lose players to injury, and South have had just a terrible injury run as well this year, and then you lose, I suppose, your marquee players to Origin in Latrell and... no, it's just Latrell, wasn't it? Yeah. So...
And look, 0 from 3 conversions as well doesn't help you.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But, we all know the pain of goal kicking at the moment.
What does Lewis Dodd have to do to crack that side, though? He's in the side, and then he's out of the side, and then he's 18th man.
Well, we mentioned this last week, Wombat. We saw him on the bench, and we both said he's not playing. No. And I think I said Jacob Host or one of the other boys will come on. I think it was Jacob Host came into the 17.
Yeah, and Ryan Gray, and then Brandon Smith came in, and it's just everyone shuffled around, and then Dodd just, unfortunately, you sit down at 18th now.
Well, yeah. I mean, from all reports, Wayne's told him what he needs to fix up, so let's just hope that he can and knuckle down and do it. But, boys, that's the end of the NRL. Short round with Origin, but NRLW kicked off this weekend as well, and I tell you what, I will watch that every week. That was better footy than what the NRL boys put up.
Well, you cracked on with a very happy smile with the Parramatta getting a win.
I tell you what, I mean, my tip was a loyalty tip. I did not expect this score or this result coming up against last year's grand finalists. But I tell you what, we deserved that win.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Para 18 over the Sharks 16. I know you're pretty keen to talk about this one, Bear, so I'll throw it to you straight away. Get the notes out. Get the notes out.
All right. I tell you what, my player of the round, by far, and yes, very biased because she is from Parramatta, was Chloe Jackson. Ooh. The second rower, the number 11 from Parramatta, oh my God.
What made you pick that in this game?
80-minute effort, non-stop. She probably got absolutely belted 3 times, but made, I don't know, somebody look it up. She would have made, I'm going to say, high 30s to 40-odd tackles.
You're pretty close there. So Chloe Jackson with 34 tackles.
All right. Yeah, okay.
But on that point, she also had the most line breaks for Parramatta.
Yep.
2.
And crossed for a double?
She did. She went over for 2 tries as well. One in the 7th and one in the 55th. So, both ends of the game.
But again, I take away the tries and the line breaks. Her defence, she was in nearly every tackle. Whether she was the primary tackler or not, she was in there. And I tell you what, the poor kid, her face was redder than a tomato. It stood out with that white headgear too. But her work, oh my God, her work ethic absolutely blew me away. But I also have to give a shout out to the English import who played 12.
Paige Travis.
Mm-hmm. She had a running battle in the first half with Anessa Biddle, so the opposition centre.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Now, that was.
I think Anessa got the better of her in the second half, and I'm like, oh, this is a bit concerning going into half time. But I tell you what, she come out in the second half and went, no. You can have the first half. I've got you in the second, and she put on a clinic down that edge. I mean, helped by the Origin debutant this year
Rory
early in Rory Owen. I tell you what, her second half was phenomenal as well. Both centres, to be honest.
I was going to say, Rory Owen seemed to carry the state of origin
for Queensland
physicality that she brought in game.
Across. Absolutely. And, the rest of the girls. But obviously, Rachel Pearson, being the experienced halfback, did all she could. But I don't know. I mean, very biased because I am so stoked with that win.
I'm surprised you didn't pick on Abby Church here, to be honest. She's normally your favourite.
Yeah, she normally is, but young Chloe, well done. Like, for me already, I grew up idolising a number 11 jersey from Parramatta in Nathan Highmarsh. I tell you what, Chloe Jackson could be the equivalent for the NRLW side.
Right, Bear, we know what you like with Para, so I might cut you short there. We're got to keep rolling through this. We're already about half an hour. So we're rolling to the next one. We had the Bulldogs 26 over the Knights 12. Wombat, you got anything you want to put towards this?
Oh, honestly, I'm so glad I picked the newcomers to the block. So Dogs' very first game, and there is a lot of experience in this side. And I'm genuinely surprised at how well the halves combined. So you got Ashley Quinlan, who played the 6, which was a 6 fullback hybrid in a way.
She played very much a running and moving 6, didn't she? And also crossing for 2 tries, right?
Yeah, and Taylor Pearson. Preston. My God, I'm stuck on that. But no, we're learning names as we go. But both of them were fantastic, to be honest. Preston played a real constructive halfback, which really got the Dogs' field position set from the get-go. And, I mean, Ashley was just anywhere and everywhere she needed to be. But on the Knights side of the world, they definitely missing...
Millie Elliott.
Well, Elliott's at the Roosters now.
Elliott, Southwell. The forward stocks of the Knights girls were my big concern. But at the same time, if you're not going to move forward, how can this young superstar in Jessie Southwell provide what she can naturally provide?
Well, it's clear as day because in the New South Wales side, how well of a half she was because she had that forward pack. Olivia Koenig, Olivia Koenig, which is reigning Dally M medalist for the women's, just absolutely killed it in State of Origin. But in this side, she didn't have that go forward and that platform.
No, unfortunately she didn't. But I'll tell you what, I know you boys just touched on it, but Taylor Preston. Now, we said this last week. She's come over from the Sharks, played halfbacks for the Sharks last year, or floating in and out of the halves role. Now, obviously, Sharks made it to the grand final, lost to the Roosters ultimately. No dramas. She's moved. I tell you what, I've never seen Taylor Preston that dominant in a game of football than what she was on, what was it, Friday night? Mate,
but that's
phenomenal.
Her being dominant is what allowed Ashley to just run the ball and just be that player that, in a way, the Knights used to have with Tamika Upton there.
Yeah.
That fullback that could just pop up where she needed to be anywhere and everywhere and provide opportunities. And she crossed for 2. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And I didn't question you. I just I asked, what did you guys see? Because clearly I must have ball watched too much during this game, and I missed all the off the ball work that Quinlan did. So I'm glad you boys picked it up.
All right, sweet. We'll cut off the Screeching Eagles from the 4th of July and move on to the Saturday 5th of July game, where we had the Broncos 28 over the West Tigers 4.
This is just class rising to the top. I'm sorry.
I don't think Broncos got out of second gear, to be honest.
No. I mean, okay, I will give the Tigers girls some credit. I think they held up 3 tries.
Yeah.
And Melee Hafunga, they held up twice. Now, that's not an easy thing to do.
No, look, the Broncos should have scored more than 28.
Oh, yeah.
They should have scored more than 28. And it's just desperation defense and individual effort from Tigers players that stopped them going further than they did.
Yeah.
But you can't build a team off desperation plays and individual efforts.
No, you can't. And I think there's a few home learnt lessons out of that statement there, Badger.
Whoa.
But, look, as much as we say, like, we're not bagging out the Tigs. They are a very, very, very young side, and Brett Kamali will work his magic, and they'll come good towards the back end. But Destiny Brill and Tamika Upton really paved the way for the Broncos in this one. Destiny Brill off the bench made maybe 3 clean line breaks. They were a bit soft for a line break, but at the same time, she made them.
It definitely seemed when she came on, almost as though the Broncos went from first gear to second gear, and that was it. That's where they stopped, because I think they knew, and the experience in that side, if you look at it, is just insane. But they were able to just go, no, we're doing enough to stay where we need to be to win this game. Let's keep it here, but let's try and have a bit of play with it, which ultimately showed when they had, was it Leonard Dudesy crossed as well, and I think it was Hayley Maddock crossed over at the very end. But I will give raps to another homegrown, which is Bree Spreadborough. So grew up with her. She's a little bit older than me, but Rocky girl. Sorry, sorry. Used to talk about the NRL boys, but Tamika Upton is also Rocky as well. So watching her play for CQ Capras and coming through, she used to come through as a winger.
Yeah, right.
So her moving into the lock is a very different position. Yeah. So really glad to see she got through uninjured, because she's had a few bad injuries, but no, she's one to watch. She's damn solid in that first game.
Well, I'll give you a couple of cheeky ones there, boys. So Bree with 33 tackles, the most tackles of the game, and Julia Robertson in the number 4, 243 run meters.
Look, and that was a quiet game from Robbo, because not much went out to her edge, but at the same time, Wombat touched on it. The Broncos doing just enough. And the easiest indicator of that is Ali Brigginshaw hardly had to do anything.
Yeah.
Gail Broughton was phenomenal, but when you have someone with the class of Ali sitting there in your team and she doesn't have to do everything, you know you're going all right. So I think it's a scary prospect for the rest of the NRLW that the Broncos are cruising already.
Sweet, boys, on to our next game of the big Super Saturdays. We had the Dragons over the Canberra Raiders, 36-14.
I only seen highlights of this game, but
I watched this game.
There was a highlight in that and a half, and that was the shot from the centre.
She's a winger.
Winger, was it?
Yeah, it was a Canberra winger on Bobby Law, who's the Dragons centre.
So I'm so used to wingers and centres. Yeah. We're so used to centres in the NRL flying out of the line and making hits.
I tell you what, though, you want to talk about a Canberra centre? Young Wiki. And you know what? We were right. Yeah. That's Ruben's daughter.
It is?
I tell you what. The physicality, she got that from her old man. oh my God. But as we touched on last week, Wombat, that Dragons nursery for the girls, it is phenomenal. And we saw one of those products come up and shine this weekend in Indy Bostock.
Jack Bostock's
little sister. Yeah, little sister. And I tell you what, Jack want to be careful, because Indy could become a better player.
She slotted into the centres, ended up pushing Bobby Law out to the wing.
Yeah. I think she picked up a double.
Yeah, it was still a double though. Like that was...
Oh, she had the third taken off her.
Was it?
Yeah.
I didn't show that in the highlights.
She had the third taken off her because she did Jack did the 1, 2, 3 count, 4 count the other week. Well, Indy did the 1, 2, 3 count, but then the try got taken off her, unfortunately.
Disappointing. Wouldn't that be a highlight?
That would have been cool.
The other person I just want to mention really quick, Tegan Berry. 247 run meters, 4 line breaks in the number 1.
Absolutely carved up.
I think one of the boys in our...
Yeah, I think Beatrix had her as NRLW player of the round, so well spotted. But I'm going to take I'm not going to take the highlights, guys. That Dragon side does not do what they do without Racine McGregor at halfback and Zali Hopkins, the new captain at dummy half.
The new captain.
Yep.
Because on the team sheet on the highlights, it had Racing McGregor as the captain.
Oh, maybe they're co-captains. I thought during the call I heard them call her as captain, but I mean, personally, Zali Hopkins, her try celebration, Oh, yes. Bring it back. Throw him back to when Piggy Riddell jumped the fence and sat in the crowd and clapped his own try. That was gold.
Cameraman's got to...
Oh, the cameraman needs to learn who people are, but...
I think he slipped up there a little bit.
He went to the bloke on the other side, but anyway. The Dragons girls, if they can put that together, look out.
All right, boys, couple left to go, and this one hits in my heart a little bit,
Oh, sad times for Badger.
Look, the Cowboys 20 over the Titans 6, and the Titans have had a dominant NRLW team in the past, and I was really keen to see it come forward again this year, and at least have one Titans team to cheer for. But first round we're down, so we'll see how we go for the rest of the year. But what are we making this one, boys?
Well, again, Badger, we mentioned this last week. The Titans have a highly experienced forward pack, both in the NRL and the NRLW, yet it's looking like neither can get off the bottom of the ladder.
Look, I've already spilled my heart to you. Put a knife in it as well. Yeah, no. Look, I was really excited for this game. I was really keen to see the Titans girls come out and put it on like they have in previous seasons. We know they are a quality team and they definitely can run it together, but the Cowboys just too dominant, too good.
I'll tell you what, Wombat, we mentioned this last week and somehow I tipped the Titans.
Yep.
I don't know what I was thinking because Kira did. Rosie, it was the 5'8". Ja'Kiah Whitfield out the back and Emma Manzelman at 9.
Yeah, that was
That's a representative spine.
Yep.
And I stupidly went and tipped the Titans.
I was so glad I did this. I was so glad I went Cowboys because she...
Emma Manzelman.
Oh, yeah. But co-captains with Kira Dibb.
Yeah.
That was a little nice moment from the Cowboys. When they did it, they were like, how cool is this? They showed a photo of Emma as a young... I think she was a teenager standing in the lineup, and it was the first Cowboys women's team running out.
Oh.
She was displaying it, but now she was leading them out. So that was
awesome.
pretty cool. But her from the get-go, and I think I mentioned Lillian Yarrow.
Oh, yes. Another
her and Mackenzie Wheel. We mentioned the smaller pack from the Cowboys, but damn, they laid a platform to start off with, didn't they?
Mackenzie Wheel is quickly becoming one of the most underrated but most effective front rowers in the women's game. We saw what she did in Game 3 of Origin, and she should have been player of the game in that game. But Emma Manzelman being overlooked for the Queensland squad, I think that's going to come back to bite them because holy hell.
Fantastic at
her footwork out of dummy half too is incredible. She tore through the middle of the Titans, but Badger's getting a bit sad, so we might have to move on.
Look, boys, just before we move on, I know you're harping on about the Cowboys, but I do just want to give a shout out to Georgia Hale. Leading from the front, 61 tackles.
Oh,
mate! Without Georgia there playing up, she had the captaincy. Without her putting in the effort in defense, 61 tackles.
Did she play the 70 minutes?
Yeah, see.
No,
she played in 13. Yeah,
13.
she was in the lock for the game.
Yeah.
She put her body on the line. She wore her heart on her sleeve. Made those tackles because the score would have been a lot higher.
So she's the equivalent of Tino for you then.
She is my Tino.
She's your Tino.
Well, with our lovely social media gurus, they found that with Random Stats Guy, Georgia Hale has not only this year, but also last year and the 2 times last year, 61 tackles most in an NRLW game. This time against the Cowboys, and last year against the Broncos, as well as against the Cowboys again earlier in the year.
Does it just become a consistency now?
She clearly enjoys tackling the Cowboys.
And then if you go back to 2023, she also had 57 against the Roosters. So tackling machine.
Don't take her out the middle. That's all I'm saying. Leave her there. Leave her at 13. Give her the C, and expect those other girls to play up with her because she is definitely leading from the front.
Fair enough. There you go. An impassioned plea from a very, very distraught supporter. Anyway,
move on to the last game, which is Sunday the 6th of July. We had the Roosters and the Warriors going up against each other, and the Roosters absolutely walked over, didn't they? 30-6.
The scoreboard says that. I don't think it was a walkover. I think these Warriors girls Give them another 3 weeks. They're going to cause some issues in this NRLW competition.
All right, let's have a bit of an expansion here, Bear. Give us your insight. The Bears' insight to the 30-6 and the Warriors playing up.
All right. So as we know, we touched on this last week, Wombat. A lot of that Warriors NRLW team were either debuting for the first time in the game or for the club. So
the only one was Uppy Nichols,
the captain at fullback. So and she had some brilliant moments and some not so brilliant moments, but that was across the board for the Warriors. So what it is it takes a little bit to adjust from union to league. They are similar games, but there's some rule sets. So the Warriors girls got penalised for some high contact a fair bit and just some little technicalities. And that won't take long to get out of their game. So don't believe the scoreboard in this one, is all I'm saying. These Warriors girls, after another couple of weeks, once they get into the rugby league rhythm, they're going to cause some issues in this competition. But
like on a stats level, they were pretty even. The only thing that stands out and screams Roosters is tackle breaks and line breaks.
well, you can thank one Isabel Kelly for that.
That's what I was just about to say at some point. I reckon they've measured this wrong because they've given her 299 run meters. Give her the extra one. Give her the 300.
I reckon.
How many of those 40 tackle breaks did Isabel Kelly have? At least 12.
It's ridiculous amount.
Well, you mentioned that she had 299 for that game. That has now put her as the leading run meter getter in the NRLW history.
The run meter getter. I like that.
I lost the word. I didn't know what it was. Like, you'd think that stat would be owned by a prop forward, someone like Millie Elliott.
I'm just going to give Blocker a call and let him know we've got new terminology for run meters. The leading run meter getter, mate.
Yeah.
But well, like we said about, the 61 tackles in the Titans game leading from the front, we've got another captain just putting it on with 299 run meters.
Yeah.
Tackles, obviously most tackles pretty even on both sides, but it's great to see these big numbers coming out and pushing teams forward.
Yeah. So Izzy Kelly is now the all-time leading run leads the run meters.
The leading run meter getter in the NRLW.
Isabel Kelly now has it all time, and she also has the all-time record for most tackle breaks in the NRLW.
It's exceptional, isn't it?
I mean, I think Izzy's still got another 5 years left in her.
She's got longevity. She'll keep going.
This is scary.
And she's already pretty much, you'd say, at the top of the game. She's an Australian representative. She's won Dally-M's multiple times. She's
won premierships.
She's won State of Origin.
Oh.
So, what is there more for her to really do?
100%.
Yeah, I think now that we've seen this competition be around for a nice amount of time, we're going to see some chase downs of records coming.
Oh, 100%. It's going to come in the next 10 or so years.
And the competition's just going to get more and more fun to watch. And it's just going to be better every week when you're watching people chase down records, and it's just going to become better to watch. And we should start seeing the crowds.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Because this is a great competition. And I don't understand why more people don't go and watch the NRLW.
It's still pure footy.
It is great footy. And the girls play just as hard as the blokes.
Harder.
It's an exceptional competition. It's the best women's competition in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Look how much it's expanded in just, say, 3 years.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, obviously, COVID, and welcome back to the WARs, because they got basically removed because of COVID. So, probably disbanded be the right word.
Yeah, just put on pause.
Put on hold.
Yeah.
Put on pause.
Put on the sideline.
Pretty much. But they're back now. We've also had the Dogs come in. Was it a couple of years ago we had the Cowboys and was it Raiders?
Yes.
So Raiders came in, those alone are 4 teams that have...
Within 8 years, we now have a 12-team comp.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
I can't wait for the future. I can't wait to see what
100%.
this competition brings and what it keeps building. And just seeing this round 1 of 2025, it's just stepping up and up and up every year.
I'll tell you what, though, boys, quickly, we are called Coaching from the Couch, so I've got to give a shout-out to a coach. John Strange from the Roosters. Now, we mentioned this Wombat in our Women's Origin thing. Jocelyn Kelleher. Now, she's been a work in progress at the Roosters for a number of years now. John Strange ended up with the New South Wales coaching gig. He did something very clever, and he brought young Jocelyn into the New South Wales side to get her exposed to these high-level female players. And I tell you what, Kelleher was always a solid half, but we were always wondering, when's the next step going to be taken?
That little bit of class.
John Strange, putting her into the New South Wales system earlier in the year, has now... You can see it. It was so clear as day. Her organisational... She's no longer hesitant about ordering the girls around the field, and it shows. Well done, John Strange.
He did well in that one. But, Roosters still have players out.
Oh, yeah. Taryn Aiken didn't even play this game.
Millie Elliott is out with the birth of her firstborn. So, with her coming back, holy crap.
Mate.
That Roosters side is going to be a dominant side for the next few years.
All right, go on then. Roosters Broncos GF.
To be honest, I'm picking at this year off one game would be your Broncos Dragons.
Oh, I love that. I'd love to see the Dragons girls up there. I would love to see it.
Just, I think the Tamika Upton going back with Ali, I think...
There's something there, isn't there?
Because, was it Tamika Upton and Ali first thing at the Broncos where they both got brought in, they went 1-2.
Yep.
Tamika Upton then left.
Went to Newcastle.
Didn't have a good run.
With Millie.
Was it with Millie? Oh, yeah, because Millie went
was
there.
Original Bronco too.
And then went tit for tat again at the Knights. Then Millie Elliott left.
Goes to the Roosters.
And then went bang, bang again with the Roosters. So she's got 6 and went, I'm going to park up for a little bit.
Yeah.
But now Tamika Upton's going back to the Broncos where it all started for her. With Ali again, and we all know what Ali can do to Upton, and they just bring out the best in her. So
yeah, look, boys, it's going to be a real interesting season this year in the NRLW. So if you guys aren't watching, turn your TVs on, watch the NRLW. It's going to be a really high impact, really exciting season. But we'll wrap up there, Bear.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining us, Wombat Badger.
Cheers,
Always a pleasure.
We'll catch everybody else, I don't know, later in the week.
Something like that.